Alright, guys, I'm going to do a really dramatic reading of the most scariest creepypasta of all time in my really dark, dramatic voice. Poopsy the Killer, or Poopsy, I'm sorry. Poopsy was a normal girl who was 11 years old, but she had a special mind. The other girls were not as special and teased Poopsy. The main bully was called Bertha. She wore a purple cardigan, and had blonde hair. It was lunch at school, and kids were eating when Bertha walked up to Poopsy.
"Poopsy, you are ugly and no one loves you,"
said Bertha to Poopsy's face. Poopsy sat on her own as she had no friends. She was an underdog, a stray wolf, a black sheep, if you will. Poopsy cried, "It's not my fault," as Bertha laughed at her. Poopsy threw... I read this story before. Dumb motorcycle. I read this story before and I keep laughing at that sentence. Poopsy threw her tacos in the bin and went home. At home, she cut herself because she was depressed. Her mother walked in and asked her if she wanted anything from the shop. Poopsy declined and went to bed. But the tragedy was she really did want something from the shop with an exclamation point. She wanted a knife to stab Bertha, but she sighed and figured it wasn't worth it. But the thought of it gave her a feeling in her heart. She wanted to kill Bertha, but she wouldn't. Not yet. It was the next day, and the sun was shining. Poopsy had cereal for breakfast, but when licking her spoon clean and putting it back in the drawer, she took a knife. It was a brutal, ominous, sharp knife. She imagined it in Bertha's head and got the feeling again. At school, she had the knife in her bag. At any moment, she could whip it out and slice everyone up, but she didn't, not for now. Lunch came. She sat next to a boy named Grubs. Grubs had black hair and a bike which she rode to school. Suddenly, Bertha walked up to Poopsy.
"So, Poopsy, have you seen any girls lately?"
Oh, Poopsy's a lesbian.
"Have you seen any ghosts lately?"
cackled Bertha.
"I didn't wish to be born like this,"
sighed Poopsy as she clutched the knife.
Why is she just sitting there clutching the knife, not doing anything?
Bertha spat in her face and walked away.
"You can't burn it like that,"
said Grubs.
"You don't understand. I have a special mind."
"That's called autism." That's not in the story. Sighed Poopsy as she flicked her hair out of her eyes. Smiled Grubs.
"I go."
Icy goes too. Poopsy spatter milk out.
You see ghosts too?" "Yes, they do,"
said Grubs as he smiled. Poopsy finally had a friend. She and Grubs went to the cemetery together and saw ghosts.
"I'm finally happy,"
she cried with joy as she threw the knife at the ground.
"I don't need to kill Bertha,"
she thought to herself as she rode away with Grubs on his bike. 2 months went by and Poopsy and Grubs were officially dating. Poopsy strutted into school with a smile on her face. Time for another day of kissing Grubs. She smiled. She heard a scream. That scream sounded both lovely yet horrifying. Oh, God. She ran to find what the scream was, and she saw Grubs lying on the floor with rocks in his head. Bertha stood opposite of him, throwing rocks at his head.
"Stop it, I love him!"
cried Poopsy.
I know it's what you're doing next to him,"
said Bertha. Poopsy ran all the way to the cemetery. A 2 with two O's. Oh, Poopsy. The 2 has 2 O's, as in like me too, yeah. Not 2, just like T-O. Poopsy ran all the way to the cemetery to get the knife. She found it and ran back to the school and jumped at Bertha. The 2 were fighting in a battle of good versus evil. Well, Bertha's throwing rocks at Grubs, and Poopsy was trying to kill Bertha, so technically it's a battle of evil and evil. Poopsy had a knife, Bertha had rocks. Poopsy was obviously the better fighter because she's a frickin' Mary Sue. But then Bertha threw a rock and hit the knife out of Poopsy's hand.
That's the best you got. I feel not even back up.
I can just pick the knife back up, chuckled Poopsy. She had a good mind and so analyzed the situations well. As she went to pick it up, she gasped. The knife landed on Grub's face. I can imagine him screaming like he's screaming in pain, like "You monster!" screamed Poopsy. "Me? You were the one who dropped the knife. Dropped the knife in the head," smirked Bertha as she walked to class. After someone dies, she just like brushes it off. Where it's like, "Grubs, you were the only one who understood me," whimpered Poopsy.
Pussy.
Moaned Grubs as his life ended. Poopsy was left by Grubs' dead body in tears. She pulled the knife out of his face and saw blood on it. Grubs' blood, obviously. No shit, Sherlock. The only way I can clean Grubs' blood on my hands is with Bertha's blood, smiled Poopsy as she got the feeling again. That night, Bertha climbed into bed and she snuggled up in the blanket and started to snooze off, but then she noticed a pair of eyes watching her. "Who's there?" Bertha yelled. "Oh, I have a name." No, I do my evil voice because it's dark. "Oh, I have a name," the voice said. "But you people tend to call me other names. Crazy, weird, fat."
Poopsy.
Muttered Bertha. Suddenly, the figure jumped at Bertha, revealing herself as Poopsy, and stabbed Bertha with the same knife that killed Grubs. Bertha let out a scream like, "Ah!" like that as she died, and Poopsy whispered into her ear, "I'm sorry I kill you." Dot. 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 That was Poopsy. I'm sorry. Oh god, there's a sequel. Now I gotta read that one.